share a common interest in pursuing security, opportunity, and justice. We look forward to renewing our partnership with the Afghan people as they move ahead under a new government. I want to again congratulate the Afghanistan people on carrying out this historic election and wish them a blessed month as they come together to welcome the beginning of Ramadan.
Well, let's just hope his Christmas greetings sound as heartfelt. With the stories that the midstream media pushes all over the newspapers and television, it's very easy to miss something small. For example, in South America, there may be something small that may be important in our ongoing war on drugs. Joining us now from the Heritage Foundation is Ray Walser to talk about what's going on now in Colombia.
It's a pleasure to talk with you about an issue in Latin America that has emerged on the scene in the last 2 to 3 weeks. This is the decision of the United States government, the Obama administration, to actually take a very forward-looking, active step in the battle against cocaine production, against terrorism in Colombia. And what is happening here is that the U.S. and Colombia are negotiating an agreement. It's not finalized yet, so we don't have all the details, that will allow us to move surveillance aircraft, anti-drug aircraft from a base that they had in northern Ecuador called Manta to use of facilities in Colombia. Now, what was taking place in Manta is part of what the U.S. calls a forward operating location. It's a sort of a fancy name, but it basically means a platform, an airfield from which you can conduct U.S. surveillance operations, intelligence gathering, particularly targeting drug trafficking. Manta was well placed in the upper part of South America for overflying the eastern Pacific, all the way up towards sort of Central America. We have another forward operating base in El Salvador, and one in Aruba, and then in Curacao, which cover the Caribbean. So you had sort of coverage. You're on the lookout for illegal drug flights, small planes, and also, to the best you can, to detect ships or submersibles, these new sorts of semi-submarines that the traffickers are using to haul cocaine towards the United States. Well, anyway, a left-leaning president of Ecuador, Rafael Correa, decided to not renew the lease that we had at Manta. And so what is going on at this particular point is that we're transferring these counter-drug operations to Colombia.
Won't this hurt our air coverage?
Now, the coverage will not be quite as good. They'll have to reconfigure. The main air bases are on the sort of the eastern side of the Andes, so you won't get the same Pacific coverage that you had at Manta, but you're readjusting your coverage of cocaine movements from Colombia and surrounding areas. Now, what this has created is a great sort of furor, particularly led by Hugo Chavez. Chavez says, the United States is putting bases, which it is not. He says it is threatening Venezuela's security, which it is not. And therefore, he has been running around. He's been trying to stir up great opposition in Latin America. And a lot of people sort of jumped on his bandwagon initially. And now, as more details are being learned about the basing, I hate to use I don't use the word base, the agreement to allow U.S. aircraft to land and fly out of Colombia, people are sort of stepping back from the Chavez position. Chavez continues to beat the anti-American drum. He says that the empire, which he calls us, is back. It's threatening his national security. We want his oil wells, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, he's spending a good deal of time, I maintain, covering up for his rather questionable activities.
What kind of questionable activities?
Supplying sophisticated armaments to the narco-terrorist of the FARC in Colombia. He's going in September, we understand, on a road trip. He's headed to Russia, probably where he will purchase additional military hardware, perhaps tanks. Then he'll stop off with his good friends in Iran before heading back, probably coming to the United States, maybe to attend the United Nations, to denounce the United States for its aggressive actions against him. Anyway, what we see at this point is the U.S., at least on the security front, under the Obama administration, holding firm on the importance of Colombia, of getting it right there, of continuing the progress that has been made. I'll add as a sort of a footnote, Colombia cocaine production or coca production this year was down about 18%, so people can't say that you're not making a dent in coca production in Colombia. The FARC is very much on the run. So this agreement, I think, is a positive in terms of strengthening U.S. security presence in the region. And secondly, kind of a good way of beginning to put Mr. Chavez back in his place.
Ray Walser, thanks for the information and the update. It's Rock and Roll Friday on the Savage Nation. Play some rock and roll.
Eddie, my love, I love you so. I want it for you. You'll never know.
Walking on the high wire, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week for 15 years.
Don't make me wait.
Wire that stretches from the Transamerica Tower to the Empire State Building. Welcome to the Savage Nation. You want me to go down memory lane? You want me to do cars? Want me to forget Britain? I may forget it. I'll let my lawyers handle it and just put it out of my mind. Yeah, it's easy. Yeah. You know, it's an amazing career that I'm in. I got to tell you something. On one hand, it's as easy as you can imagine. I make it sound easy. I'm kind of the guy with the lariat. You know who I'm talking about. Will Rogers. We got up and he just twirled a lariat and he made comments and told jokes. And people loved him. Now, when I'm at my best, I can do that without when I don't get angry. He never got angry. See, that's the difference. Is I'm hot-headed. I admit it. I blow up very easily. In that way, I'm an ordinary man. I mean, I'm quick to anger and quick to forget. That's an ordinary man. There's 3 types of men if you study this from a biblical perspective. The ordinary man is quick to anger and quick to forgive. The evil man is quick to anger and slow to forgive. The saint is slow to anger and quick to forgive. So, I mean, I understand that, but you can't change yourself just because you know what the right thing to do is. So what I'm getting at is, when I hear play Eddie My Love again, I got distracted with thinking. I don't want to think. I'm sick of thinking. Turn on the music again.
Eddie, my love.
All right, let me put back the memory lane cap. Okay, around this period of American history, when this song was big, trying to think back now. I think I would visit cousins in Pennsylvania, and it was the first time I ever heard of a pizza. I didn't know what a pizza was, to show you how. I guess I'm old, man. And I remember they brought a pizza in the house. Everyone was oohing and ahhing downstairs. I was sleeping in the attic with the kids, and we heard that a pizza was coming. And we crept down the steps from the attic, and everyone was staring at an object inside a cardboard box that smelled like vomit. I swear, I mean, you talk about a child, the way a child's perceptions are. The first time I smelled mozzarella cheese, it smelled like vomit. Does it? Is that because the mozzarella cheese was better then or worse then? Was that authentic mozzarella cheese and today it's like ersatz? You know, like a fake Miro poster? Because everything is ersatz. The buffalo mozzarella is not buffalo and it's not mozzarella. You know what I'm getting at here or not? I mean, should pizza smell like vomit to be good pizza, is it? It's like beer. I remember I couldn't wait to drink my first beer. So I was 11, 10 years old. And, of course, they wouldn't give me alcohol. But my uncle was a big beer drinker. So I was into magic at that time. Remember this phase in my life now? Magician. I wanted to do magic. So I used to buy these novelties either on when we'd go down, my friend and I, by train to 42nd Street. I'd go into these crazy novelty stores. And one of my favorite novelties was a fake glass of beer. I thought that was the neatest thing I'd ever seen in my 11 years on Earth. It was a glass of beer, fake, you know, with a head of foam on it. And I said, I'm going to trick my uncle. I'm going to put the beer out and say, Uncle, would you like a glass of beer? Like he wouldn't know. You know, kids are really amazing how innocent they are. And I thought I'd put a little bit of real beer on the top. But I was so disappointed when I pushed the beer out. He laughed. He said, that's a fake glass of beer, isn't it? I was so embarrassed that he knew right away. But I'm saying to you something else. This was an innocent age in America. We didn't have a computer to sit home all day long. And there was a real world. Even to get a trinket, a toy, you couldn't order it online. You had to go to a seedy store on 42nd Street, a novelty, risk the perverts and the kidnappers in order to go in and out of the city, and you came on with it with a novelty, not